Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we are reacting to Napoleon, my favorite, obviously. Napoleon masterpiece, How the Battle of Rivoli Broke Austria. The early days. Yeah, okay, alright. Fair enough, let's go.
How does a 27-year-old general leading a barefoot, unpaid army that probably hasn't eaten a decent meal in months manage to absolutely humiliate a massive, well-resourced empire? I mean, it sounds like a totally unbelievable movie script, right? But back in January 1797, this was just a regular Tuesday for Napoleon Bonaparte. So let's dive right into this explainer and unpack one of the most truly astonishing campaigns in military history. We're going to look at Napoleon's Italian campaign and specifically the...
To me, the Italian campaign is the greatest, in my opinion. I know it's a bit... I know some of you might be like, you're crazy. What about Austerlitz and all? But it's difficult, first of all, to pick one great achievement of Napoleon. There's so many. But the campaign of Italy is redefining war and the way tactic and strategy are being conducted. Alright, I'm glad she goes for that. Okay, let's see.
Absolutely breathtaking Battle of Rivoli. You know, practically everyone expected this young commander to fail spectacularly. But instead, with this wild mix of absolute self-belief, boundless energy, and just sheer audacity, he transformed a ragged band of men into an unstoppable force and literally altered the face of European warfare forever. But before we get to all the glory, we really need to look at the grim, freezing reality on the ground. Napoleon's army was quite literally falling apart. There was no pay, their shoes were completely broken, and the medical care, well, it was basically non-existent.
Okay, to be fair, they were not the main army. The main army were near Germany, near the Rhine. They were the army of the south, and they were considered to be the distraction, basically. Napoleon was supposed to be the distraction. But he became the main show. He made it the main show, and that's why he said his famous speech. Soldier, you are naked, you are broke, but I will lead you to the greatest pasture in the world.
Horrifying state of destitution. It was just a bleak, bleak time to be in the French army. But the stakes they were facing...
No, it was a bleak time to be in the South army. The North Army were better equipped and better paid.
Were astronomical. All right, setting the scene. The siege of Mantua and a very hungry army. So the French had the critical fortress of Mantua under siege, and inside, the trapped Austrians were literally eating their own horses to survive. To save them, a massive Austrian relief force is marching straight for the French. And the situation is just terrifying. You've got French General Joubert, another 27-year-old, by the way, holding the line at Rivoli with just 10,000 men. Bearing down on him, General Alvinci with 24,000 Austrian troops. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath setup, except this Goliath has strict, non-negotiable orders to crush absolutely everything in his path. Which brings us right to Austria's incredibly complex attack plan. Now, the Austrian general was eager, but his battle plan was just absurdly complex. You could almost picture these comfortable staff officers sitting in a warm room, drawing all these sweeping, elegant arrows on a map, and completely ignoring the freezing reality on the ground. They decided to divide their army into 6 separate columns. The first column actually had to cross Monte Baldo, which is a 7,000-foot peak covered in deep ice. Before a single shot was even fired, they lost 200 men just to the freezing cold. So yeah, not exactly a stroke of genius for an opening move. Moving right into the chaos of the decisive Battle of Rivoli. When scouts reported all these enemy columns maneuvering around their flanks, Napoleon basically raced to headquarters. By midnight, standing out there on the moonlit heights, he completely unmasks the Austrian plan and frantically starts ordering reinforcements. Then at 4 a.m. in pitch darkness, the French actually decide to go on the offensive. Crazy, right? But as dawn breaks, overwhelming Austrian numbers attack the plateau. The whole thing just evolves...
Let's pause for a second. First of all, passing through mountain, Hannibal did it, Napoleon did it, and the logic behind it is to go through a place where people don't expect you to go, and get out and be where they don't expect you to be. So you can take advantage of the surprise. 200 men is not that much. I mean, I know it sounds bad to say that, but in an army of 25,000, that's okay. If you have your battalion surprising the French, it wouldn't be bad. It's considered bad now because they lost the battle eventually, but it's not because you lost the battle that every single choices were bad. Some choices might have give you a chance in the battle, a chance that you would not have. Second of all, it's surprising, shocking for the French to attack. Absolutely not. Napoleon was always on the offensive. It was always the case, including in Austerlitz, and that's why the Austrian lost. And it was also the case in Waterloo. And he almost won Waterloo, thanks to that. Ultimately, the end goes away. Eventually, it doesn't work all the time, but yes, Napoleon was always on the offensive. It was his mentality. It was the way he saw war, and so there's nothing shocking about that.
Into this brutal, chaotic fighting through broken terrain and vineyards. The French line is bending and about to snap completely until 9 a.m., when reinforcements miraculously show up to stabilize the twisting line. But the Austrians just keep coming, threatening.
So the illustrations are nice. Truly, they're nice. I don't know what is Notebook LM. Is it the tool she's using? The illustrations are nice, but we are missing some map. It'd be great to see the movement of the troops. That could be a good addition to the video.
To surround the French entirely. Napoleon's staff is sweating bullets at this point, but Napoleon, he's totally calm. He orders this desperate, practically suicidal charge with his absolute last few hundred cavalrymen. They manage to push the Austrians into a tightly crowded valley, and then it's like the ultimate viral moment of 1797. A single stray shot hits an Austrian ammunition wagon. Boom! This massive explosion goes off in the valley, and it just completely shatters Austrian morale. Total panic spreads like wildfire, and this mighty, overwhelming army literally turns and runs. And that leads us to the surrender of Mantua. Now, you want to know the craziest part?
Again, you could do an amazing movie with that. Just this battle. You could do an amazing movie. I don't know why we have Gladiator 2 and stuff like that. Or the latest Odyssey. I'm not gonna comment on that. But I don't know why we're not looking into history. History gave us so many great stories.
Napoleon didn't even stick around to watch them run. He gets word that another Austrian column is marching for Mantua, so he grabs his exhausted men and just races south, slamming the trap shut. Facing completely impossible odds, the entire Austrian relief force surrendered. The scale of this defeat was just devastating. 44,000. That is the staggering number of casualties the Austrian army suffered just trying to save this one single city. Meanwhile, inside Mantua, Field Marshal Wurmser has absolutely zero options left. With literally every last ounce of food gone, he capitulated. He surrendered. After 8 grueling, miserable months, 16,000 surviving Austrian troops became prisoners of war. And as you can imagine, Paris was about to celebrate wildly. Now for the march toward Vienna. Because, of course, Napoleon wasn't done. After forcing concessions from local rulers in Italy and swelling his own army to 70,000 highly confident veterans, he marches straight for the Austrian capital, Vienna itself. The Austrians were completely terrified. Even their own military prodigy, Archduke Charles, couldn't stop the French from relentlessly outmaneuvering them. Napoleon basically bullied his way dangerously deep into enemy territory, stretching...
bullied his way, it's absolutely accurate. He bullied them, humiliated them, and it was a shock, military shock at the time.
His own supply lines...
Because he was unknown. He was a nobody at the time.
Incredibly thin in the process. But staring down a French army that was practically at the gates of Vienna, the completely demoralized Austrians really had no choice but to beg for peace and sign an armistice.
And here we witness the true birth of Bonaparte's legend.
Think about this. After 5 years of bloody conflict across the continent, a 27-year-old guy is suddenly operating on a global geopolitical scale. He completely bypasses the diplomats back home to redraw the map of Europe himself. The 1,200-year-old Venetian Republic? Conquered, systematically looted, and cynically carved up. He literally had priceless treasures packed into crates and shipped straight back to the Louvre, because apparently empires really love a good art heist. Napoleon even created his own brand new country, the Cisalpine Republic. And naturally, he sat down and wrote its constitution himself. It's just wild to think about. In basically one single year, he went from commanding a ragged, starving, forgotten army to being the most powerful and feared military commander in all of Europe. His Italian campaign was an absolute masterclass in strategy and psychological warfare, which really leaves us with this final, kind of terrifying thought. If a 27-year-old general could achieve all of this with a barefoot, starving army, what on earth could a man like this achieve with an entire empire at his back?
Yeah, well, we know what he could achieve. Well, Napoleon became... I'm not surprised. Napoleon can be very well explained. Sure, he was a genius. But I don't think he was the only high potential that France or any other countries at the time had. The problem is the difference of class, hierarchy within the social class, social rank. France abolished that with the revolution, which was not the case in the other countries. So all of a sudden, France were really having commander based on merit and capability, competence, rather than who was born in the right family. And that changed everything. That's why France bullied Europe, basically, because we were the best at the time. Now, eventually, the others catch on, and they catch on when they started promoting people based on their competence rather than who daddy was. So yeah, we can see that in companies today. I mean, if you promote based on who you get along with during a social event rather than who actually made the difference, your company is going to the wall eventually. But if you promote who is making a difference, you're gonna see great things happening. Right, good video, missing some illustration about battle plan or maybe some map for the people who don't really know. But yeah, good video, good narration. I like your video. Thank you for watching with me. If you like watching reaction of history or funny reaction, I do also funny videos reaction. Just give us a like, give me a like, and give us a like to the channel and subscribe. I'd be very happy. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers. I try to post more often as soon as I can. So let's go on this journey. Thanks very much. Have a good day.